My name is Richard Schwanke, and I'm doing a report on the Imitation of Christ by Thomas Kempis. Thomas Kempis is a monk that lived most of his life in the monastery in Germany. It was actually in Mount St. Agnes in Germany, where he entered at age 19 and lived the rest of his life until age 92 in the monastery. While there at the monastery, Thomas did a lot of training of young converts as they came into the monastery, and he found an important thing to use was a book that he wrote called The Imitation of Christ. He believed in living a life that was devoted to Jesus, and he believed that this life should be characterized by holiness, simplicity, and humility. That's what this book centers on. This book is broken up into 4 separate books. Book number 1 deals with different devotionals on things that can be used in our daily life. I purchased a copy of this book as an ebook, and I'm using it in my daily life as a reference book in our devotional as I go about my life. Some of the things that are in it deal with how do you live with life, how do you deal with adversity. Shunning over familiarity is one that I would like to take a couple minutes just to read to you, if it comes. Do not open your heart to every man, but discuss your affairs with one who is wise and fears God. Do not keep company with young people and strangers. Do not fawn upon the rich, and do not be fond of mingling with the great. Associate with the humble and the simple, with the devout and virtuous, and with them speak of edifying things. Do not intimate with any woman, but generally command all good women to God. Seek only the intimacy of God and of his angels, and avoid the notice of men. We ought to have charity for all men, but familiarity with all is not expedient. Sometimes it happens that a person enjoys a good reputation among those who do not know him, but at the same time is held in slight regard of those who do. Frequently we think we are pleasing others by our presence, and we begin rather to displease them by the faults they find in us. Like I said, it's a very short, simple devotional. All the devotionals that are in there are short and easy to read and easy to think about. Book number 2 deals with care of one's own soul. It deals with topics of how do you take care of yourself? How do you go about making the decisions that are right? How do you become the disciple that you should be? And how do you imitate Christ? The 3rd book deals with inner consolation. This is actually a series of dialogues between Jesus and a disciple. And it takes the first 2 books and puts them into dialogues and conversations where they talk about how they work through issues, and they especially deal with those issues earlier of holiness and humility. How do you live a life that is humble? Book number 4 is an invitation into communion. He has a whole series of short readings that can be used in the importance of developing a good communion, a good way of coming and preparing for communion, and being part of the communicant body of the congregation. It was fun reading parts of this book. I haven't read through it all yet, but I found there were things that were useful, even though this was written over 700 years ago. It implies and works with what's happening in our life as we speak now. There are times that I can find going back to this and using it with everything that I have going on in my life, especially as I look to doing anything in the ministry. It's an easy way of using this book to develop devotionals, develop introductions, and to be used with one another as you deal with dialogues of dealing with real life issues. That is the summary of the Imitation of Christ with Thomas Kempis. Thank you.